I grew up in the north of England in the late 80s and the early 90s. And I went to one of those um, schools that are basically a relic of the empire, a very traditional, not even Victorian. My school was founded in 1552, but a very traditional all boys school that was basically designed to train young men to run an empire that no longer exists. Um, and so it was a very, very strict, very, very conservative environment. And England in the 80s and 90s was bleak, literally and figuratively, you know, coming off like decades of um, recession and punitive government approaches to public spending. It was just so, so bleak. And I was a young gay man. And back then, there was no representation in media, in film, TV, print, of people living happy, successful, queer lifestyles. That portrayal just didn't exist. And there was, at the time that I was growing up, legislation called Section 28, which expressly forbade the um, discussion of LGBTQ issues in schools and in not-profits aimed at children. And so the net effect of all of that is that homosexuality was demonized by the government and therefore demonized by the media. And that law wasn't repealed until 2003. And so it was a really hostile and difficult environment to grow up as you're coming to grips with your own sexual orientation. And so I always felt that there had to be more, that there had to be bigger, better, brighter horizons. And I think I over romanticized the idea of America as this land of sunshine, palm trees, swimming pools, movie stars, but most importantly, freedom. Freedom writ large, and freedom to be whoever you wanted to be. And so I ended up fomenting this lifelong love of America and everything that it stood for. And it took me a long time to actually get here. It's pretty tough for British people to emigrate to the US. Um, but I'm so glad that I did, even though we're in really political, very polarized times. I'm super lucky. We split our time between San Francisco and Palm Springs, and California is super liberal, and both of those cities are even more liberal within California. And so I really get to live that fantasy that I had as a schoolboy in my very Victorian environment. And I think that's what's always driven me to like succeed and make my own way, is that I wanted to actualize this life that I imagined for myself.